In statistics, there's a term called natural variation, and that simply means that we have a distribution that happens just by chance. The experimental result will not always be exactly the same as the theoretical results. If you flip a coin 1,000 times, theoretically 500 times you would get heads. However, if we repeat that over and over and over, we're not going to get heads every time because of natural variation. If we conduct a simulation of that concept, we would get a distribution that would center around 500. And as you moved away from 500, you would see fewer and fewer occurrences. For example, it's not likely that we would only get one head if we flipped a coin 1,000 times. And so that observation wouldn't even show up on the simulation. What happens in statistics is because we're not able to access the population most of the time, is that we take a sample and we obtain a result. We retain our sample statistic. And what we want to know is, did this happen by chance, or did something unusual happen in our observation? What is the probability that we would see our result that we have found in our sample statistic? What is the probability that we would see the result or a result more extreme than if natural variation were in play? If we were to find out that it's a very low probability, then we call that statistically significant. And we believe that something unusual is occurring, and that there's a relationship or there is a difference. And in correlation, what we're doing with our hypothesis testing is looking at the relationship that may or may not be there and determining whether it's great or significant. How do we determine if something is significant or not? We perform a series of steps, 6 steps to be exact, and determine if that result is significant. Here are the 6 steps. The research question. What is it that we're trying to find framed as a question? Statistical hypothesis. Numerically and mathematically, what we assume to be true and what we're trying to prove. Decision rule. What will be our baseline? How will we know if we found something? Data collection and calculations. Doing our calculation to discover the truth. Statistical decision. Did we mathematically find what we were looking for? Lastly, informal or formal interpretation. What we did find written in words.